Hello everyone and welcome back. This is episode 4, and for those of you that may have forgotten already, I am 9. Today we're going to start off with the 4 universal firearm safety rules. Rule number 1, treat every firearm as if it is loaded at all times. Rule number 2, never point the firearm at anything you do not wish to kill or destroy. The only exception is when you're going through the process of proving a firearm safe, that would be the exception. Rule number 3, never put your finger on the trigger until your sights are on target and you've made a conscious decision to shoot. And rule number 4 is know your target and beyond, and everything around it, under it, over it, and everything around you. You cannot have tunnel vision when you're operating a firearm. Simple as that. Now today, I want to start with reviewing the Canadian concept of the steps of proof. You bought your OIC panic buy, you've been out and maybe fired at least once, you've been grilled through the system when you got your license about the steps of proof, and I want to clarify some things for those that have concerns. So it's simple as this. I'm in a safe area. I have a designated area for dry training. I'm in that today, and we'll talk about dry training in follow-on episodes, but just know that I'm in a designated area for dry training today. Starting with the steps of proof. Assuming at this point that you've been out and got a holster that properly fits your firearm. If not, when are you going to do proof? Well, I prove it when I get it out of its safe storage legal location for the first time, when I first dig it out, before I put it in the box to go to the range, or if I go to the range and I pull it out of the box before I start to put it in the holster and carry on with the training for the day, I'm going to do the steps of proof then. And this is what it's going to look like for a semi-automatic firearm for me. When I have the firearm out, okay, I'm going to follow those steps, point the firearm in the safest available direction, then I'm going to remove all the ammunition, which means if it's a semi-automatic, and you can, take the magazine out. In this case, there is no magazine in the firearm. After that, I'm going to function the action to ensure there is no ammunition inside it. I might do that 2 or 3 times depending on your personal taste. The reality is, okay, now I have considered that there is possibly most of the ammunition is out or all of the ammunition is out, but at the same time, I need to continue on with the process. If you have a firearm that you cannot manipulate the controls and lock the slide back, as we call it, using your digits, then the simple answer is use an empty magazine. An empty magazine. I have dummy cartridges in this one. I just take them out. Okay, empty magazine. I place it in the firearm. I know it's an empty magazine. I pull the slide back. It locks automatically with an empty magazine. I can then remove the magazine again. Now I can continue on with the steps. Observe the chamber. I look in the chamber. I feel in the chamber. I verify the feeding path. I look through the magazine wall, make sure nothing's hung up in there and I can see daylight. And last but not least, examine the bore. Now don't panic. It's like this. Nothing stuck in the barrel. People have concerns when they go through the program, and a lot of times people just kind of glaze through it, and after the fact, don't do that. I want you to understand this specifically. I have no issues with seeing the muzzle end of any gun that's in my hands. I know its condition. Not having it unloaded is a self-correcting mistake. I do have a concern with seeing the muzzle end of any gun that's in someone else's hands. And that's part of the issues I find in our world today is we teach people, the muzzle end of the gun, but they're still not in that place in time where they're uncomfortable when someone else points a gun at them, but they are uncomfortable with doing this. I'm not. Just remember, you've already completed the steps to remove all the ammunition. Now, to put it back in your holster, don't put it back in like this. The holster is not designed for the gun to fit in with the slide locked back. It's simple. Let the slide go forward. If necessary, put the safety on, look it into the holster, put it in where it's supposed to be. That gun is now proven safe. For the rest of my time, I'm not going to go through those steps every time I pull it out of the holster. I'm not going to go through those steps every relay, every sanctioned stage of a match. I'm not going to go through that. The only time I'm going to do that again is if I have a concern that the barrel might be obstructed. Other than that, I do it once at the start of my training day. Clear as mud, right? Like I said, you got to get beyond it. It's not a big deal. I'm okay with seeing the muzzle end of any firearm that's in my hands. I follow the steps implicitly. Okay? Point it in the safe direction, remove all the cartridges, observe the chamber, verify the feeding path, examine the bore. The whole time your finger is not on the trigger. It's that simple. Now, let's talk about this. This is a magazine. It is not a clip. Let go of the Hollywood ideology. This is a magazine. It is not a clip. And I want you to get used to calling it that. Unless you want to come to the range with me and I'll make fun of you all day long, calling you a bug munching gully troll every time you call it a clip. This is a magazine. What I want you to understand is the terminology that we like to use, yes, it's from the military, is charging your magazine means putting ammunition in your magazine. It's not loading the magazine, it's charging the magazine. This magazine is a lot like this power bank for charging my cell phone. I put energy into this. I've just put energy into this. If they were live cartridges, that's what I'm doing. This serves no purpose until it's in the firearm. This, fully charged, serves no purpose until I take a cable and connect it to my phone. This, in this condition, right? This is not a loaded firearm. This is a magazine with ammunition in it. Now, when I tell you to load your firearm, this is what it means. Place the magazine with ammunition in the firearm. This firearm is now, by our definition, loaded. If I take the magazine back out and I haven't done anything else, and there's no ammunition left on board in this firearm, the firearm is not loaded. If I put this magazine back on, it's loaded. Now the next step from the dumb army guy side is you have to make it ready if you're going to use it. That's what we call it, making it ready. And that is simply holding the gun in the proper position, cycling the slide, and it chambers a cartridge. It strips one out of the magazine. Now, this magazine is still charged. It has dummy cartridges or ammunition in it. But this firearm now is still loaded because you've taken energy out of the magazine and placed it in the firearm where it can be discharged. Does that make sense to everybody? I sure hope so, because that's the terminology we like to use. Again, when it comes to unloading it, unloading is basically the steps of prove. In this case, the steps of prove are without the examine the bore. I only do that at the start of my training session or at a time when I believe that I should be concerned whether or not the barrel is obstructed. This is what it looks like. Point it in the safest available direction. Remove all the ammunition. Start with, take the magazine out. You don't have to discharge the magazine. Just put it in your pocket or do whatever. Now I know I still have one in the chamber. I have to get that out. I don't want you to try and capture it. I don't want you to cycle it and try and catch it. None of that Hollywood dinkery. This is what I need you to do. I need you pointing it in a safe direction, pull the slide back all the way, let the ammunition come out and let it go. Wherever it goes is fine. That is the second step of remove the ammunition. Take the magazine out, function the slide. I saw a cartridge come out. It's not physically capable of holding two in the chamber, but I still need to verify. We verify. The challenge is if you can't reach the controls that allow you to lock the slide back and it's heavy springs, you'll struggle to hold this back and look in the chamber and look in the magazine well. So the solution to the problem is simple. Take an empty magazine. Note, I discharge the magazine into my pocket. Now there's nothing in the magazine. Nothing in the magazine. I place it back in the firearm. I pull the slide back. It automatically locks it open. I now remove the magazine again, and I can complete those steps. Observe the chamber. Look, feel. In the mag well, look, nothing there. I can confirm this firearm is now unloaded using the steps of prove minus the bore exam. And I hope that's clear to everybody. When you're done, safest place for the firearm to be is, if it's not in your hand, is in your holster. We'll get into the concepts of how to get it in the holster as the next episodes come. Now, let's talk about you that went out and your OIC panic buy was a double action revolver. It's pretty simple. You push the button or the switch and the cylinder swings out to the side. You can see all the chambers at once. That cylinder is chambers. It's not a magazine. For the double action revolver, this would be the equivalent of a magazine. This is a speed loader. You simply get one that fits your particular revolver, and there's a way to put the required number of rounds, whether it's 6 or 8, and they will stay in if you clip it in place. That's how it works, okay? If you just put them in, they fall back out when you turn it, just like that. You put them in, and it clips in place, whatever mechanism it is, whether it's an HK or a Smith & Wesson or whoever makes the speed loader, this is the equivalent to a magazine then. When you put those cartridges in your double action revolver and they're in the chambers, then it is considered loaded. This would be the same, charging a speed loader. The single action revolver, the cowboy gun, okay? The John Wayne gun. This is a belt slide, okay? This is how I hold my cartridges for my single action revolver, and it's loaded one round at a time, but once I take them out of here and put them in the chamber, the gun is considered loaded. To unload it, you simply take them out one at a time. In the double action revolver, they usually come out all at once. We'll get to those specific details as time goes on. Generally, we're going to work with the semi-automatic to begin with because that's the look cool gun that everybody probably bought in the first place. Whether it's all metal or all plastic matters not to me. Just know, start with, remember the 4 universal firearm safety rules. Remember, this is called a magazine, not a clip. Putting ammunition in it is called charging the magazine. Putting ammunition in the chamber on your semi-automatic firearm is called making it ready. And I hope that clarifies some simple issues. I look forward to moving forward with the dry training concentration that comes up in the following episodes. Talk to you soon.